but I do want to get your 2 cents on what did you think of the presentation of Jack Perry, Darby Allin, and the surprise return in Wembley of Sting?
Well, I saw Sting earlier in the day, and I was surprised to see him there. After I thought about it for a second, it made all the sense in the world, and it worked. You got a great pop, and that seems to me the top priority of all talents these days is to find the methodology to get a pop. But he looked good. That doesn't mean he's coming back. I don't think so whatsoever. Uh, Little things like this, where he does a little business with his ball bat or what have you, I can see that being a occasional occurrence. But the crowd was ready to see him, and that was a gift from Tony Khan to them on that deal. Smart idea. So, but I was happy to see him. Good visiting with him. My God, we go back to the Cowboy Bill Watts days and the '80s when he and Hellwig were partners. Boy, that was a nightmare time. You got Sting who's willing to do anything and just wants to learn and progress up the ladder. Then you got this other goof who just didn't like anything. It didn't matter what it was. He was very insecure. Sting might have been insecure if he didn't show it.
I'm excited to see what's next for Jack Perry, because I felt like when they first started this elite or almost invasion of AEW angle several months back, that maybe this show would be some sort of big blow off. That didn't really wind up being the case, but we did see Jack Perry retain his TNT championship over Darby Allin. We also saw the Young Bucks successfully defend their tag straps against FTR and the Acclaimed. What'd you think of the Young Bucks match? It was a 3-way dance for the tag straps.
I thought they had a good night. Match made sense. Any Young Bucks match is going to have a lot of flying and risk taking in it, more than likely. But they didn't give me too much of that. They told a good story. They and FTR, I think, have great chemistry, for sure. But I like the outing. I'm worn thin on the multiple people tag matches, 3 ways, 4 ways. Enough's enough. And I understand, God Almighty, I understand you got to have pitchers and you got to have catchers, and you got to get guys to work. So that's kind of what we're seeing here, even on this footage, to see the teamwork of the Acclaimed. They've evolved into a nice team. They really have, and they're 2 pretty decent guys, I think.
I also want to ask you about the Hook match. We saw an FTW rules match for the FTW championship. I guess that just means interference is no big deal, because Chris Jericho came to the ring after playing his theme song with his band Fozzy with Big Bill and Brian Keith. They both interfered pretty freely, and then with a little assist, a little help from Dad at the end with the Taz mission on Brian Keith, or the Kazahajime. Hook beats Chris Jericho. He's now the FTW champion.
Kazahajime.
Chat me up. What'd you think about Hook and Chris Jericho?
Too much interference. It never got unwound. It never got rolling. And both those guys are good enough to get on a roll and tell me a very compelling story. I thought they underachieved in that regard. But, I'm glad that Hook got on the card. Jericho's doing his work to help some of these young guys get over. That's very admirable. So, but I thought it was okay. I mean, it wasn't a main event slot. It had a role to fulfill, and that role, Conrad, was to get the kid over.
Well, mission accomplished. Hook is young, and I think stole the show at the press conference. He and Mariah May. They asked him, "Hey, when would you like an AEW title shot and to become AEW champion?" And it was a, I don't know, 2-minute question to get to that point. And Hook leaned forward and just said, "Sooner the better," and sat back. And I thought, he gets it. I love that guy. We should also get your opinion on Mariah May and Tony Storm. You know, what an incredible match they had. Mariah May is the new champion. She picks up a win over Tony Storm. They went 15 minutes and 14 seconds. I thought start to finish, this is probably the best story that we had culminate at All In. And I know that people left on a super high from Bryan Danielson's win, but man, I know there's a lot of criticism out there about, oh, AEW doesn't do stories. Well, they did with Tony Storm and Mariah May. My goodness, what'd you think of that one, Jim?
I thought it was really entertaining. You know, I'm a big Tony Storm fan. Ash Avildsen and I are working on a movie about Mildred Burke. And I told Ash, I said, I don't know who we're going to hire as the actress to play Mildred. But Tony Storm is the closest thing to her that I've seen lately, body-wise, the whole 9 yards. So I've become a major fan of Tony Storm. I think she's had a big hand in her own creativity. I refer to Cowboy Bill Watts a lot because he was my mentor, but he'd bring top guys in because he wanted to get in their head as much as get them in the ring. He wanted to get their thoughts on booking. And everybody's a frustrated booker. Just look at the internet. So, and that's fine. I think that shows that people have an interest in what the hell you're doing. So, I'm a big fan of Tony Storm, as I said, and her losing didn't hurt her at all. People were interested in this match. They cared. So, and got a little color there. That was interesting. Thanks to Britt Baker and accidents, that's become an issue at some point. Thunder Rosa, all these ladies are brave enough and free thinking enough to do that. Well, the house looked good, didn't it, Conrad, on the screen more often than not?
55,000 folks. I mean, what an incredible accomplishment. And I know that, you know, there's a lot of boo birds out there who aren't pulling for AEW, but guys, I don't remember many promotions ever in the history of ever drawing that many fans. You know, I certainly WWE has, but after that, boy, it is an awfully short list to get that kind of crowd together, and AEW did it. I love the look. It felt big. I can't imagine how it felt being there live. I mean, you even said before last week's show, hey, I don't know how many more of these big super shows I'll get to be a part of. Was that going through your mind that this might be one of your last major mega stadium shows like this?
Earlier in the day it was, but the closer it got to showtime, those premonitions subsided because I had another job to do that was very important to everybody involved. So I just wanted to pick up the pace a little bit when I got out there. I wanted to have a little more, have significant and noticeable energy. I think I accomplished that because I had no idea what I was going to say when I sat down. You know, it's amazing I even got on camera. I think they forget about the announcers by the time the last announcer gets out there. But I had a very peaceful, relaxing day. I contribute a lot of that to the preparation I'm watching and observing from Daniel. So I don't know. It was a great day. It was a great day. It reminded me of some of the bigger matches I called in WWE back in the day.